Ray, the Yankees can grow beards now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. It's 85 and sunny. Joined my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing?
It's beautiful, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, because it's about 55 and sunny. It's perfect weather here right now. It will last for a short amount of time as winter's last gasp blows its icy breath all over us one more time this weekend before the true spring and the buds of the spring show up on the trees and the birds chirping in the most beautiful place on earth that currently is the Super Bowl champion city, Philadelphia. Go Birds.
Yes, okay. Well,
full year of this, Ray. Every week for a year, I'm going to do this.
I'm too tired.
You don't have to be tired. Hey, do you know how to spell Eagles? E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles. Okay, for those of you,
we got a big show for you, everybody. We got a lot to talk about on the video game front. Gonna ping pong around. We got some Marvel stuff. We got some wrestling, a little bit of baseball, but we are gonna kick things off with the hockey.
The hockey. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yes, the Four Nations Championship was played. It was won by Canada in overtime. Again, they won in overtime. I mean, look, it was a great game. It was a game I think everybody expected it was going to be a one-goal game. I had the score right. I just had the wrong team winning. It was just, back and forth battle. Austin Matthews, he's a piece of garbage. And
that's harsh.
He is the definition of a regular season player.
Sure, I'll give you that. But Adam Fox, unfortunately, caused a lot of these bad plays in the final game. He didn't exactly have a great game either. It was
none of the Rangers in the entire tournament had a great tournament. They all should have just stayed home and had gotten good rest so they can worry about the thing that matters, which is the playoff race.
You're such an old man. This was one of the greatest things in professional sports. Everyone talking about the NHL, even after Canada had won that game in the United States. Still, I thought it would die after that, Ray. I'm seeing PK Subban on NBA shows. I'm seeing Gary Bettman on shows. I saw the Kachuk brothers on New Heights. Everyone's talking about hockey right now and how they got this right. No one's talking about the NBA and how they got their All-Star game wrong. It really has been a triumphant thing. In fact, Gary Bettman said the other day, he was on Rich Eisen, and he said, "You're asking me a lot of great questions. I don't have the answers. We have to reflect on this. It was so successful." But let's talk about the final game in the sense of, yes, we know Canada won in overtime, and Canadians are celebrating so much. And this is the thing. And I've been having a lot of funny conversations with Canadians lately. And I'm going to say this on the air. For so many years, Canada has been atop of us. We were the underdog. We were the team that couldn't get it done, that they were the greatest of all time. And Canadians, you don't like hearing this. That's not the case anymore. You were the underdog going into that game. Now, you won, okay? And I'll give you that 100%. You gave the best player in the world the puck with no one on him. He did exactly what he's supposed to do against one of our best players. I'm not taking anything away from this win and that you are crowned the champion. But what I will say, Canada, you are no longer ahead of us. This game is tied. The USA and Canada are as evenly matched as they've ever been, as I've ever seen them. And it's funny, Ray, because I hear the fans, they chirp at me. What are you talking about? We've got all these golds. Exactly. It's not one-upping us anymore. This was even. This was an even matchup. That's about as even as you can get.
Yeah.
So we're at the point now, if America had won that game, I would have said the seesaw tipped, and now USA is the top hockey country in the world. But I think the truth is this. We're tied, and it's obvious. And this is now setting up decades, not years, decades of competition between not just the USA and Canada, but some of these other nations. The NHL announcing the World Cup of Hockey coming now in the every other year, kind of opposite the Olympics, that they will have 8 countries involved. The Olympics are next year. I mean, this is going to be ongoing for a while. This was a gift for not just the NHL, but hockey. If you're not watching the Olympics next year now and you watch this, you're crazy. All right. And you got to remember, too, that so many other hockey powers in the world were not in this tournament. Czechia did not get a chance to compete. Russia did not get a chance to compete. Latvia did not get a chance to compete. Norway was not there. There's a lot of countries, Germany, that I'm not saying they'd win, but they're competitive. Russia could definitely win.
100%.
And I think that's why, Connor McDavid, who got that great goal, kind of did a lame presentation with the cup that they gave him. Kind of was like, yeah, okay. That's just kind of who he is. He's always on to the next thing. It's always hard working. But he gave a really great press conference in which he said, Ray, that, look, it's really great. It's prideful for Canada that we won this. But he said in the nicest way, this tournament's not representative of the best in the world. It was the best of 4 countries. He goes, there's several countries that aren't here that have top NHL athletes. Yeah. He kind of said, that's what I want to win. Without taking anything away from this, which I thought, like, man, there's your ambassador right there. Never heard McDavid talk like that. But what a triumph. What a triumph for hockey as a whole.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, you mentioned the glaring omission, of course, is Russia. There's no Ovechkin there. They even mentioned it in the broadcast a couple of times, right? Yeah. That, like, the fact that there's no Russians in that tournament makes the tournament fun, but also a bit, it seemed a bit lopsided to favor, obviously, the U.S. and Canada.
100%.
And I think it's just one of those things where, the final play, again, Austin Matthews, if there's a weakness in McDavid's game, he's not the best face-off man. Not saying he's a bad face-off man, but he's not the best. And Matthews, that's actually one of his strengths, but McDavid beat him. And then Matthews went to go double team someone in the corner and left the best player in the world wide open. And he one-timed it on home, and that was it. And,
it's an unfortunate play. I mean, look, there was a play at the other end that set up Canada getting into our zone that I think was actually a weaker play, without calling any names out. But, on that play, look, you're in overtime. It's the last game. You can't be tired of that situation. Matthews made a split-second decision that cost him his defensive responsibility. Look, man, he was about a half an inch away from deflecting that puck. So he wasn't, like, grossly out of position, but he was enough out of position that it, that's all they needed. So that was a game of literally centimeters, and either team could have won. So it's, again, I'm not going to put the whole weight on Austin Matthews. He does now have to prove that he can win. That's the one thing he hasn't done, right?
It continues to haunt him, right?
I could say the same about McDavid, though, Ray. Like, McDavid hasn't really won yet either, but he did in that moment. He's taken a big step forward for sure.
He's won more than Matthews has, right? Like, Matthews at least he's gotten to the Stanley Cup, right?
Sure.
Like, Matthews can't get out. He barely gets out of the first round if he gets out of the first round.
I would say he has been more successful at the NHL level. He hasn't won anything yet, and outside. Let me rephrase that. He hasn't won the Stanley Cup, but those two both have their share of individual accolades.
A lot, yes, absolutely.
But one of them's got to win the Stanley Cup to kind of really, rise to the top. In fact, a lot of people were going, that's just the passing of the torch from Crosby to McDavid. Even Crosby's just like, no. I've got 3 Stanley Cups. Right. I got a golden goal in the Olympics. This is great for Connor, but I am not moving aside just yet. Right. And good on him.
No, and it's true. And he's right. He's absolutely right. But it's just it only continues the narrative. I think Matthews is 0-6 in elimination style games. I think are now 0-7.
That's brutal.
Yeah, it is something, and if he's going to be the captain of USA going forward, he's going to have a spotlight continue to be shined on him.
Well, I think,
and I'll say this: a lot of folks are blaming him for not scoring earlier in the overtime. I don't blame him for not scoring because Jordan Binnington just did what Jordan Binnington does. Yeah, Jordan Binnington. That's Jordan Binnington being a great goalie. Jordan Binnington, who has an ability to. He'll give up a soft goal early, and then, like, when it gets to overtime in a game like this, suddenly, clenches the sphincter, and nothing's getting by him, and he's just like, and he becomes a brick wall. We've seen it. Obviously, saw that in Stanley Cup a few years ago, and he's had that ability. But
look, we got to say this too, and again, this is not an excuse, but it's got to be said. Like, the U.S. team was also severely injured.
And so was Canada, to be
fair. Not like we were, all right? Like our top players were injured and not playing in this game, all right? You can't say that for Canada. Canada had every one of their top players there, okay? We had Matthew Tkachuk out of the game. You had McAvoy out of the game. I mean, these are
Yeah.
the two top players on the team. So again, no excuses. You win with what you got, right? And the USA was right there. They played a great game. But this rivalry is only going to continue. I think what you did see is that C's coming off Matthews and probably going to Matthew Tkachuk if you have to do this again.
I agree with that.
The Tkachuk brothers were leaders.
Yes.
They were abrasive. It was awesome. Exactly what you want to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we're tied. The game is tied right now in terms of USA Canada. Canada, you can deny me that all you want. You can pound your chest all you want. The truth is we are here. We are right next to you right now. That we are not behind like we were. You were the underdog in this game, which I have never said ever. I've never said that about Canada once. So welcome to the new era. We
said it was probably 55-45 in favor of the U.S. going into that game.
Yeah, and I think if we're healthy, honestly, I do think we win that.
If Matthew Tkachuk, yeah, I think that's a different story. If we're healthy,
and I'm going to say it again, one of our, McAvoy. I mean, that's a huge loss.
I mean, and to be fair, McAvoy played probably the best hockey I've probably ever seen McAvoy play in this tournament.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think he elevated his game in a way that he has not really up in Boston. And now, unfortunately, he'll probably miss the rest of the season.
He probably will. And I'll say this too of Matthews is like, we needed him to show up and he didn't, but he's been on a bad streak. Like it's just been a bad time for him recently. He hasn't been scoring in the NHL prior to this tournament, which is a shame too. So again, there's a lot of things. I'm going to say it again, Canada, no excuses. You won, hands down. You won that tournament. I'm not saying like you didn't deserve it or anything like that. But yeah, I'd like to see what happens when we're at full strength and you're at full strength. And also there's a couple other countries in the mix. I think we're there.
Yeah.
And look, I'll eat crow next year. If we finish fourth or fifth, I'll eat crow. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen. I think America's coming for that gold and they're pissed. So you might have created a monster here.
It's going to be interesting to see how the roster changes. I think it's also going to be good, though, this tournament because it gives a lot of these guys, especially the younger guys like Sanderson and whatnot, gives them some experience in this kind of style of play. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what changes happen because I definitely think defensively the U.S. is better than Canada. Obviously, Slavin, I mean, my goodness, what a tournament Slavin had on the defensive side. Yeah, like seriously. And then I think, but the U.S. they need a couple more goal scorers. They need some depth. I think at the forward position. I think that
they need their goal scorers to score. I'm going to say it again. We have goal scorers in Austin Matthews. He just was cold. He was ice cold this whole tournament from a scoring standpoint. He got plenty of assists.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's even. It's just so even. Like both those teams were great. That was some of the best hockey I've ever seen in my life. You got to keep in mind, friends, the NHL players haven't been in the Olympics in a long time. We have not seen games like this in a long time. So looking forward, Ray, you got the Olympics next year. Then 2 years later, you'll have the World Cup. Then 2 more years, you'll have the Olympics. Then 2 more years, you have the World Cup.
Yeah, you're gonna. It's
brilliant.
Rotate
and
all this.
Even Gary Bettman was saying about we don't even know what to do with the All-Star game now. Like he's like, we don't even know what to do with it because this is so popular. Like, what do we do? So they're
in those odd years, it feels like going back to the All-Star game is just like
might be a letdown.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, they'll have to rethink that. Some of the previous All-Star games have been horrendous. So we'll see what they do. But I'm excited for the future of this. The NHL caught lightning in a bottle, and everyone in the sports world took notice. And we say it about hockey all the time on this show. They find a way through. It's impressive. You watch the other sports now. The NBA's got to figure it out.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's the thing the NBA has a long way to go in terms of figuring out what they're going to do. Because the thing is like you can't even do a tournament like this because the global game, while getting better and while strides are being made to
USA wins every time.
Exactly. Like right. You saw it at the Olympics last year, right? Is that the U.S. is still the powerhouse, the dominant force in basketball. Have France and several other countries around the world made strides? Absolutely, nowhere close to the U.S.
Well, and I'll say this that I think the larger issue with the NBA, and I think again PK Subban has been very vocal about this, is they have a cultural identity issue with why
nobody cares
that game. Yeah,
nobody cares. They only care about the paycheck.
It's obvious, and again, the truth is, you guys NBA players probably do care, but you're not showing that.
No.
Because I think these guys do care. I just think they're not showing it. And I think that the NHL gave their players a platform to show it, and they did.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So we go from one worldly tournament to another. Really quickly, just want to touch upon this. Congratulations to Nicaragua and Chinese Taipei, aka Taiwan, for advancing to the World Baseball Classic. They are officially going to be in the tournament for they qualified. I'm probably the only person in the world who actually pays attention to the World Baseball Classic.
That's not true. We all love that. What are you talking about?
But congratulations. Obviously, there's so I think there's only 2 spots left. And right now there's 4 teams left, and for 2 spots, Brazil, China, Colombia, and Germany will now duke it out starting next week in the qualifying round to try to get to their World Baseball Classic bid, which I think is in 2026. Next year's World Baseball Classic. I wish that's the one thing. Yes, it's 2026. It's every 3 years, which is weird. That's why it throws me off. The World Baseball Classic is it's every 3 years they do it. Right. But 2026 is when the next World Baseball Classic is. So, but they're doing qualifiers now, and so that teams can start to obviously start to prepare because especially a lot of countries outside the U.S., a lot of these players they aren't playing all the time. Or in professional leagues to the caliber that we have in Major League Baseball. And so preparations have to go underway. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
Right.
It was a worse segue than I anticipated.
It wasn't that bad.
But we do want to talk about some baseball. There's a couple of interesting baseball stories. ESPN and Major League Baseball announced they have come to terms to terminate their contract. Terminate the contract early they have at the end of the 2025 season, which means that ESPN Sunday Night Baseball is no more. So I don't know what this is going to end up happening. Baseball is in a lot of trouble. We've talked about this. Baseball's in a ton of trouble in terms of just getting the games on TV and getting it in front of their fans. Baseball fans love baseball. We are super passionate. None of us know how the hell to watch the baseball games. Like, you can pay for MLB.TV, but then depending on what market you're in, there's the blackout rule still. Now that Bally Sports went bankrupt, half the league's teams have to be broadcast through Major League Baseball. Like, Major League Baseball has to take that over. Now you don't have ESPN broadcasting Sunday Night Baseball. So is TNT, now that they don't have basketball, or TBS going to try to swoop in and maybe save the day? I don't know. But you know what one way to kill a sport real fast is, Lee?
Yeah, don't show it on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Don't have it on TV. So baseball needs to figure we've said it a lot. Rob Manfred, I did not think it would be possible that anybody could be worse than Bud Selig as commissioner. But baseball found the guy. Holy cow, is Rob Manfred terrible. This needs to be solved immediately. Like, this needs to be figured out in some way, shape, or form, because if you don't figure out a way to get baseball in front of the people who want to watch it, it's going to be really easy for them to go watch something else or nothing at all.
If the MLB is smart, they will team up with a Netflix. They will team up with a streaming service.
Yep.
Local broadcasts are local broadcasts. We all understand that, but that's what they will do. Okay.
Yep.
I've had YouTube TV for years now. I love it for exactly the reason I got it for, which is sports.
Yep.
Okay. But if Major League Baseball is smart, they'll go to a Netflix right now. Get on a streaming service, get ahead of it, or Amazon for that matter.
I mean, right? they do have a relationship with Apple TV. Like, it's they have the Friday night games on Apple TV. It's like, it might be one of those things where, to your point, expand that relationship.
Right.
Right. Like,
and I think that's what's likely to happen. Yeah. I don't think they did this without a plan.
Oh, I don't know the way Rob Manfred works. Like, somebody's been walking on. I don't know if you guys can hear this. Somebody's been walking on my roof for the last 2 hours. I don't know what's going on. We can't
hear that, so don't worry about it.
Good. Okay. So I just want to make sure. Like, so if somebody hears a bunch of crunching above, that's
Ray's
what's going
brain, not Ray himself.
Yeah. So
crunch.
Yes. Unbelievable. But other things going on in baseball. Spring training, new rules. They're trying out finally the challenging of balls and strikes. And guess what? It's working perfectly.
I know, right?
The delays are so minor. Like, although folks, somebody did make the joke that a called strike 3 to end one of the spring training games got overturned into ball 4, and the umpire was mad because the game went 8 minutes longer, and I guess he missed his dinner reservation.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So again, it's just a matter of time before the search was completely replaced, and I cannot wait.
I'm with you, Ray.
We have the technology.
This is so slow. I don't know anybody who doesn't want this anymore. Like the traditionalists, I just don't understand. All right. No. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't like games being called by human error. As an athlete, that blows my mind.
And in baseball, because it feels like it happens more and more every year, especially with the technology we have. And it just feels like it's clear every year how much and how bad the umpires are. It's just terrible. Speaking of traditionalists, though, who are terrible.
I can't wait for your take on this.
The Yankees, after 49 seasons, are ending the rule that their players have to shave, that they can't have beards. Now, I will say they did add the caveat. Brian Cashman specifically said we don't want our players looking like Duck Dynasty out there, which I thought was hysterical. But I think, and I've been saying this for a while, that it is an archaic rule that for many the fashion is to have facial hair, and that as long as it is well kempt, I don't see the issue with this. I really don't. Like, again, I get it. Yeah, you don't want the Duck Dynasty beard down to your belly button or whatever. Like, okay, that I completely am still on board with. But to have a well-groomed beard does not seem like that big a deal. And I think that Hal is finally starting to listen to the fans. Also, supposedly because he's heard in the locker room, some guys that Gleyber Torres, who's now no longer a Yankee, was very mad about this for a while, and that the Yankees' new closer that they traded for, Devin Williams, was very mad when he had to shave his beard, and is now very happy that he can grow it back. And considering we only have him for 1 year before he hits free agency and probably have to re-sign him, it might be a good idea to let the dude just have some facial hair. I am all for this. The Yankees haven't won anything in 15 years. You need to modernize. You need to get with the times. It seems like a small thing, but this could go a long way towards helping the culture. And I also thought it was very interesting that Aaron Judge was actually against it. But at the end of the day, he said it. He's like, look, it doesn't. I'm going to shave no matter what. That's me. And that's the thing. It's your choice. You want to be clean shaven like me? Great. You want to have a beard like Lee? Great. Go win some freaking games. Go win baseball games. I don't care what you look like. Win baseball games. Lee?
You really like my beard?
It's a good beard.
Thanks, man.
Works for you, buddy. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Let's go into why the beardless rule exists, because the Yankees were not the only team to do that. Lou Lamoriello in hockey, all of his teams classically, no beards. The reason for a rule like that is to set a standard, to set a bar, to set a team goal that we're doing this together.
And to be fair, when George instituted that in 1976 with the no discipline Yankees, completely understand why they needed it back then. Continue.
There are time periods where shaving was a thing, like shaving your beard. Beards were not in, and being clean shaven was part of the standard of the time. All right, I think those times are over. And I think if you want to set another standard, there's ways to do that, okay, that don't involve facial hair, right? Not to mention during those time periods, I know the guys were on TV. There was no social media. There was no brand deals. It wasn't the same as it is today. So, I'm a big believer as a coach, look good, play good, look good, feel good, play good. Like, I want my athletes to feel however they need to do to play the best that they can do. Feel however they want to feel and look the way they want to look to play the best that they can play. And I don't think anyone in society right now is going, did you see that guy's beard? He looks so, but look, 40 years ago, that might have been the case. All right.
Right.
It's not though. It's not though anymore. And it's a timed out rule. I'm glad they lifted it.
Yep.
And like I said, if you want to set another type of standard, set another type of standard. Find another standard. It doesn't have to be that. Maybe everybody shows up early. I don't know. You got to figure that out. These are $100 million athletes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the other thing with Steinbrenner's day. It was that they didn't make this much back then.
Right.
All right. You can't I'm paying this. Well, they want to have a say in how they feel. You want them to play good? You want them to play like $300 million? Let them look like it.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. No, it's true. And so, yeah, again, but for the folks who have been against this, like, I just don't know what you don't have a leg to stand on, in my opinion, right? Like, I mean, I've got
want umpires to stay too.
That's the problem. It's right. It's time to evolve. It's time to get with the times. I think Hal's an idiot for the most part, but I think he got this one right.
I agree.
Yeah. Also, one other thing, again, showing that Hal listened to the fans, and this is something that I know a lot of folks have been. I really didn't care, but a lot of folks were mad that New York was played after every Yankee game, win or loss. It
doesn't make sense for it to play after a loss. This was a good move.
This was also a good move because I will say, now that I've heard it, it makes a whole lot more sense that after a loss, now they play Sinatra's That's Life.
That's Life. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes a lot more sense. And it's like, yeah, like this works, right? Like,
it works beautifully. It's a beautiful message after the game. I never understood New York after a loss.
Yeah.
It takes away the meaning of "it's up to you." That's the cool part of that song with that. That's Life is the perfect song for a loss. Ray, I got to say this too.
Yeah.
Just proving how big the Yankees are. Both of these stories, not news anywhere else in the world. It's only with the Yankees would this be A, wildly reported on, B, there are AI renditions now of what classic Yankees would have looked like with beards.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is news, but it is news for the Yankees. And then the New York not getting as much of the affection, but it's good move. Good moves by the Yankees. Now go win some baseball games. Yeah.
Now that this superfluous garbage is out of the way, focus on spring training, which, anyway, I don't know if you heard this. You don't know if you heard this. Not on the rundown. Scott Efros, Yankee reliever, who's missed the last 2 years with injuries, threw one pitch in spring training and got hurt again.
Did not know.
Pulled his hamstring. I'm sorry. Might be time to just cut him loose. Like that's that. I'm sorry. You gotta be on the field at some point. One pitch, one spring training pitch, and you're hurt again. Get out of here!
Heartless Ray. You guys should see Ray manages his MLB The Show baseball team. He's heartless.
Absolutely heartless. Also, my fantasy baseball team. My draft is this weekend.
I moved up from 8th to 4th in my fantasy hockey team over the last 3 weeks. So I'm doing pretty good.
Nice. Well, I won my baseball league last year, which I was very happy about.
Where's your trophy?
We don't have trophies. You know what my trophy was? The check I got.
Oh, yeah, money.
Yeah. I don't think we could. Yeah. It was when I still had money. I bought into the league, which was great. And so then that's part of the reason why, being unemployed, I had to win the league last year.
Where's my compendium, Ray? Where's my compendium, Ray?
TBD. By the way, I have nothing to do with the actual putting together and shipping of the compendium. That has nothing to do with me. I am just a writer, a contributor. I have nothing to do. I no longer have a.
I am not mad at you. I want to know where this thing is. Not mad at you.
Boy.
We'll find out.
We will find out. I no longer have a position inside EGM Media as any time of power. I have no position there. I just write words and they take care of the rest. Actually, they haven't had me write anything yet, actually. So for this, we'll see what happens. But that's a whole different thing. Speaking of seeing what happens,
it's up to you, Carsillo, man. Okay, just kidding. That was all on key, just for those of you listening. At least I think it was.
It was pretty close.
Can I get a producer thumbs up on that? Was that close? Yeah, thumbs up. I guess I'll take it.
Yeah. And Zombie.
Hey! Yep.
All right.
Ray, do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
God, and it is rotten. Oh my God.
Helping you with the transition here, yeah.
We are we're on the road to WrestleMania. Elimination Chamber is this weekend, which will determine the other big main event matchup. We will see who will take on Rhea Ripley for the women's world title and who will take on Cody Rhodes for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And there was a very, very interesting promo cut by The Rock on SmackDown, who will also be in Toronto at Elimination Chamber, he said. First off, he announced that the next WrestleMania will be in New Orleans, Super Bowl, WrestleMania 42, which was a good announcement.
Was there a Super Bowl in New Orleans recently, Ray?
Yes. Well, that's the other thing is that The Rock admitted after SmackDown they wanted. Yeah, I know your Eagles. Okay,
who won that Super Bowl, Ray?
Okay, yeah, the Eagles. Okay.
Go Birds! All right, I'm done.
Oh God. They wanted to actually announce it at the Super Bowl, WWE, but they couldn't. I don't know if they didn't want to pay for the commercial. I don't know if they couldn't get something. Rock said there were complications. So he said that's why part of the reason they were in New Orleans for SmackDown last week. So he said it seemed like the perfect time, even though they typically wait to announce WrestleMania after after they would have waited for after WrestleMania 41 to announce 42. He said it just seemed like too good a time to announce it now. So they did it now in New Orleans. So I think this is the third WrestleMania that New Orleans will host. I mean, can't blame them. It's a great town. Never been, but I've heard it's a great party town. So
it is an awesome city. I've been there multiple times. It's different. It's unlike anything I've ever been to.
Yeah. So they're going back to New Orleans, and then The Rock cut one of the worst promos of his entire career. He called out Cody Rhodes, and he hinted at this because at the Raw on Netflix debut here at the Intuit Center in LA, the Intuit Dome, and Rock was like, I buried the hatchet with Cody. I'm friends with Cody now. We drink a lot of my tequila together. The Rock's mom and I think, by the way, I think The Rock might have drank a lot of tequila before he went on to the ring, by the way. The Rock's mom and Cody's mom are best friends now. It's great. We're all friends here. And he's like, Cody, I want you to be my champion. Cody, I want your soul. Like Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat. Look, this is my theory. First off, again, it was a disjointed mess of a promo. The Rock was all over the place. I don't know what he's trying to do. If they're trying to set up Cody becoming corporate Cody and him turning heel, all for that. Especially because it feels like that either CM Punk or John Cena are going to win the Elimination Chamber, and obviously they will then be the face in that matchup at WrestleMania, right? Or maybe you have Cody, and then at some point, I think Roman Reigns is going to get mad, and he's going to challenge The Rock. You're going to have Roman versus Rock for the Uwafala. I think you're going to have that at WrestleMania as well. That won't be a main event match, but you will have that match. The people want that match. We wanted that match. We wanted that match last year. We just didn't want it for the title last year. We would have been happy with that match had Cody not turned and pointed at Roman. Cody should never won the Rumble last year. That's the point. Cody should never won the Rumble. This has been a mistake 15 months in the making. Cody should never won the Rumble last year. And now we've been stuck with him as a lame duck champion for almost a year. I don't like Cody. I think he's boring. Turn heel. Give me something interesting. But they won't do that because he sells too many t-shirts to kids. Anyway, and that's the God honest truth. I don't know if they're going to try and turn Cody heel. Because Cody has also said he wants to retire soon. But he did say he would do one more heel run before he retires. And then he drops the title to Punk at Mania. Or maybe it sets up a storyline or a rivalry that carries through the summer. Or maybe Punk takes it from at SummerSlam or something. Or Cena gets his 17th championship. Cena said that is his goal now. He will not rest until he gets title number 17. I don't know what's going to happen. But that was a terrible promo. I hope we get Rock versus Roman. I hope Cody turns heel. I hope Elimination Chamber doesn't suck. I hope Logan Paul is the first one eliminated.
Well, I'll tell you a few things based on what you said. Let's just go back to The Rock first before we dive into the storylines here. What I think, what made The Rock successful last year was he was completely focused on this, and you could tell.
Yes.
He was completely focused on what they built, and making sure that the final boss and that character and that Cody and everything was done beautifully. And they did execute insanely well. And I just feel like he's not as focused now as he was last year. I feel like the focus is, I'm here. I'll do something real quick. Like that's
it feels like he's they're shoehorning him in again. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, man, no, there's got to be a story. Now, what I will say is this: it's tough for me to bank against the WWE with what they do.
Yeah.
And I think the key is in the second half of what you said, Ray, is that we don't really know where they're going.
Yeah.
So you can either make something really special with that, or you can really screw it up.
Yeah.
And in recent years, they have not screwed that up too much. Okay. So we'll see where they go. I mean, like, this is one of those things we got to give it time. Like, Rock's allowed a bad promo once a year. Okay.
Sure.
Once a year. All right. So if knowing him, he knows he did a bad job and he'll clean it up and figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
And again, I still come back to that thing last year where he gave Cody something and said, don't you ever betray me again. I just have a feeling this is lining up whatever that is.
I hope.
You can't, if they just let that go, what a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. But I feel like that's what The Rock's doing. Like, we're friends now, right? Don't forget never to do this to me again. And then Cody is going to do whatever that is, whatever they did. Like, they planted the seed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think that's where they're going with that storyline. And I do think you're right. Rock Roman is what they planned for originally last year. That's what they're going to do this year. I think Cena does win this championship. I have a feeling that's the direction they're going to go.
I hope.
They're teasing it too much. It's like, I thought there might be a storyline here of like, it never really mattered if I win the championship. It was just the fact that I was here. And now he's cutting all these promos of like, what's best for business is that I win it. So I'm like, well, okay, that's the direction you're going in. But we'll see. It's not a bad thing. They don't know where they're. We don't know where they're going. That's never a bad thing. Last year, was really pretty predictable.
Yes,
right? For all of it. I mean, it was fun to watch, but it was predictable. All right, like WrestleMania down to a T. Like, here's what's going to happen. The Rock's going to win the first night. He's going to lose the second night. Somebody's going to come out. Stone Cold's going to come out. Like, even though it was the Undertaker, it was predictable.
Yeah.
All right. This one's not. So let's see what happens. That would be the right direction to go in after last year, is not to be predictable. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, we will see. Absolutely. It's going to be interesting for sure. So we're on the road to WrestleMania. We're about 2 months away, just under 2 months away now from WrestleMania. WrestleMania is a little late this year. It's April 19th and 20th. Smoke them if you got them. Oh, there's going to be a lot of weed in Vegas probably on Sunday night of WrestleMania.
What are those dates again?
April 19th and 20th.
Hold on a second. April 19th and 20th.
Yes.
I'll be in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. I will be in Vegas at WrestleMania.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I will be there.
You going to WrestleMania?
I'm going to WrestleMania. Yeah.
You got tickets to WrestleMania?
I got tickets to WrestleMania.
Did you tell me this?
I could have sworn I told you this a while ago. Yeah, I'm going to WrestleMania.
I feel like that's something I would have remembered. How'd you get WrestleMania tickets?
I know people. Same way I got.
You didn't tell me this.
That's how I got the Raw. That's how I got the Raw on Netflix. I know people.
You're going to WrestleMania.
I'm going to WrestleMania.
Well, I'm very happy.
Where's the sign? I got to point at the sign. Sign.
The Geeks sign.
Geeks at WrestleMania. We at WrestleMania. Yeah, I'm gonna be at WrestleMania.
I did not know that. Right? That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to be at WrestleMania. Woo! And then the next week I'm gonna pack up my car because I'll be homeless.
You'll be in Puerto Rico before WrestleMania. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Yeah. Woo! It could end up being a very big birthday month for me. We'll see what happens.
Yes, Ray's gonna be a new generation, a new decade. He will join us amongst the 40-year-olds. Ow, my back. Damn it.
Do you wake up with back pain every morning now?
No, I did though for many years, but then I went to see somebody about it at my age, and they fixed it.
Yeah, I should probably. If I had money, I would go see somebody to fix it.
I use my insurance, but yes, I understand.
Yeah, I have insurance, but the problem is my insurance costs so much that I can't afford to go see somebody with my insurance.
You got to leave LA.
Yeah.
This is a lot of people part of the plan.
Yes. Anyway, speaking of plans,
I also live with the doctor, just to be fair.
That does help. That does
give huge benefit.
Gives you a little bit of an advantage. Yes.
Yeah. Now the good news is, Ray, my back is great.
Yeah.
But I only have one working arm. Yeah.
Yeah, your shoulder's all screwed up.
Yeah. Severely. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Getting old, man. Welcome to the 40s.
Awesome.
Right? You'll know you're old when you wake up injured and you didn't do anything.
Oh, so I'm there then.
You're there.
I'm there.
Totally
I'm there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Already there. Anyway, speaking of plans, all the best laid plans. I'm not gonna lie. I liked Captain America 4: Brave New World.
No, I haven't seen it yet. It's killing me.
I liked it a lot. But much like WrestleMania last year, it was very predictable. But I still liked it. I liked the ride that it took me on. But you don't want me to spoil it for you, do you?
Please do not. No, this is going to be a spoiler-free. I plan to try and see it soon.
Okay.
Sorry to our adoring audience that may have seen it. Yeah. I need some time.
I give it a solid 7.
I'll take that for a Marvel film.
Yeah. I don't think, there are obviously a lot of the stuff in the trailer that's been revealed, obviously, that, Tiamat, the Celestial, is made of adamantium.
We talked, I called a lot of things.
You called it all, pretty much, yeah.
That's not good, but yes.
So, yeah, but that's the point, right, is, again, it was a fun ride. It was just very predictable. And I think that the biggest problem, the problem that a lot of people are having is they gave too much away in the trailers, right? And it's hard, right? Because you're trying to toe that line. And this is, as a marketer, you want to get butts in seats, right? So what are you going to do? The leader's not going to move the needle. As much as I was excited for the leader, you got to show Red Hulk. The problem is that the way this story goes, that was set up to be your, oh my God moment that now falls flat because we saw that in the trailer.
Yeah, they did this with Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
In the sense that they showed Hulk was in the film. Now, Thor Ragnarok was so great that ended up working out. Mm-hmm. I get the feeling this film was not to that level, and they should have maybe held off.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, is I think that they could have played it. It's one of those things, right? It's like, do you bank on people going just because it's a Marvel movie? See, this is what I would have done if I was the marketing person. I would have banked on people just going. I would have taken maybe a weaker opening weekend to have a longer tail, because the thing is I think that the impact of the reveal of Red Hulk would have been so strong that once word of mouth got out, that would have carried because that's the thing. It had $100 million opening weekend, and then it dropped to $20 million the following weekend. That is a massive drop off.
Yeah.
Right. I think we would have been better off trying to hide Red Hulk for as long as possible. Well, have maybe a $60 million opening weekend, and then follow with multiple similar weekends after that as people stay excited or hear about the big surprise.
This is like where Spider-Man No Way Home, like we had this discussion with that film too. Because the trailers unveiled too much, even by accident sometimes. Yeah. And I made the statement then, Ray, and I would make it again now. I don't know if Marvel could do this now, but what I had said, and again, people think I'm crazy for this, but is that what they should have done for No Way Home is not done a trailer. Yeah. It should have been a 15-second hit of Spider-Man is coming on this date. You don't want to miss this.
Yeah.
Right? Now, listen, that film was a massive hit. And that's probably what they're offering, or they're operating off of, is, it worked for that. Well, this is not that. This is not Spider-Man. Spider-Man is one of the top 2 superheroes on the planet.
Right.
Right? Like, always. It's usually Superman and him.
Yeah.
Right? Although I think Batman's
Or I was going to say Batman. It's probably actually more Batman and Spider-Man. Yeah. Batman, Spider-Man, Superman probably went to 3.
And it's like, I would have seen that movie with no trailer.
Yeah.
I can hear him on your roof now, right? I can hear him on your roof. Now, there it was. All right. No, I'm just kidding. So the thing is that I think it would have been. The other thing is, like, their attitude is probably they're going to spoil the Red Hulk right away. Good, let us spoil it. Don't do it, because like someone spoiling it makes me need to see it more, because now I got to see it before. But you've already told me that he's in there, so
right. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing is that, like, some of the stuff from Sonic 3 was spoiled.
Yeah,
I still had to go see that film.
Yeah,
right. Even though I got to it late, but like it was like. Yeah, it's one of those things where I think that the movie was mismarketed, and because of that, people aren't able to actually look at it for what it is, which is a solid film.
They could have even hyped it up like it's Captain America versus Hulk and hidden this, and we wouldn't have known. What a twist!
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I really do want to discuss it and where they're probably going, even though I think I might have surprised you a little bit with my. He said, "Are they doing this group?" And I was like,
"You basically you nailed everything." Like,
well, I was trying to think of like what groups haven't been involved and like where might they go, and you know, I kind of threw one out there, and you're like, "You were quiet," and I was like, "Oh no."
Yeah. I mean, we can't say in the first minute of the film because I mistakenly thought that Giancarlo Esposito was playing.
We all did.
Bridge.
We all did. Yeah.
And it is revealed in the first minute of the film, so I don't mind saying this. No, he's playing Sidewinder from the Serpent Society,
right? And
which is a big deal. It's a big deal.
And it's an interesting place to go for Captain America. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm
no.
looking forward to seeing that. Although I'm going to add one thing to the rundown here, if I can, Ray.
Yeah.
Andor season 2 trailer dropped yesterday, and it looks really, really good. So I've said this before. Andor season 1 for me had a really slow start, but once it got going, it was actually really, really good. It was some of the most unique Star Wars storytelling.
Yep.
I think this season, the way the trailer is, and they're using modern music in the trailer. Like Andor's always had its own little place in the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm.
The Death Star is clearly visible in the trailer. What's his name from Rogue One is in there. The bad guy. I can't believe his name. I'm forgetting his name. You know what I'm talking about?
Like Fennec or something?
Yes, thank you. Director Fennec is in this. Yeah. So they're clearly getting closer to Rogue One. And I'm really excited. The character development's there. This looks really good. All right. And I'm going to say it again. After the success of Skeleton Crew, I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with Andor. So just a little pop there. I would definitely watch the trailer, Ray. It looks really, really good.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, Andor dies in Rogue One.
What? Again? He dies again? Rogue One, easily one of the top. I'm going to say top 3 Star Wars films ever made.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Number 1. It's top 3. Number 1 will ever be Empire. That's one of the greatest movies ever made, not just Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is like, I mean, that everybody talked about Avengers, but it's like, no, that the Avengers, that was our generation's Empire Strikes Back.
Right.
Basically.
100%.
Right. Like,
so,
and then people were like, oh, it's like, yeah, that's what, imagine how it was. And they had to wait 3 years.
Yeah. I will say it again. Infinity War gave us the gift of understanding what Empire Strikes Back felt like.
Yeah.
They accomplished that. That's the only movie in history.
And you had to wait a full year to see how it played out.
Yeah. And that was good too.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Speaking of big old franchises, we got Amazon has announced that
Money Penny.
That Barbara Broccoli and the trusts that have been in charge of James Bond for so long have finally relinquished their last of the reins they had on the franchise. Because Amazon had bought the rights to it a while ago, but now Amazon is fully in charge of the franchise. Barbara Broccoli and them, they've all removed. It is all Amazon now. It is all Bezos. It is who is real life Blofeld. And this does not, as a James Bond fan, this does not make me feel good. I'm not going to lie.
Interesting. Yeah. I look, I'm conflicted on it because I don't think James Bond's been doing great the last few years.
That's true. I don't think they were going in the right direction with Daniel Craig whatsoever. And I understand, and Amazon obviously at some point wants to get back their money on their investment, but I just worry that they don't understand. I worry that's going to get corporatized, right? Like anything.
We'll see. They've done some great storytelling with some of their franchises, and some of them they haven't.
Yeah.
They certainly have the money to do this well. And you got to remember, Amazon took over Lord of the Rings. They've obviously done The Boys. They've done Invincible. So they've done some storytelling very well. Mm-hmm. And I think the key for Amazon succeeding here, Ray, is the same key it always is you got to go back to your source material. And this is where Bond kind of got off the rails when they kept some of the source material, but they tried to expand upon it and go back to your source material. Just make a great James Bond film. We don't need an origin film.
No.
And again, like after Daniel Craig's Bond, which was an origin, we don't need that. Right. And then spoiler, they kill him. by the way, in the last film. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. Like, so few
Well,
people saw that.
nobody saw No Time to Die. So
yeah, they killed him. They killed Bond at the end of the film. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling it for you. It's been out for several years. He gets killed. He blows up, sacrifices himself. So it's like that in the Bond universe, it's its own little thing now. I just want a great James Bond film. Like, James Bond is back and here's his next adventure.
Yes.
Let's get back to that.
And then we can make a video game about it that we play forever and ever and ever.
Silver Eye.
Yeah. No.
Silver Eye. Lady Gaga, she already did a theme song. Never mind.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, my thing is that, like, look, obviously I think James Bond you need to put the people in charge who care about the franchise.
Yeah, that's
right. And I think that's a big deal. And I think knowing people who because again, because Amazon has had some misses as well, but it's just making sure you have the right people in charge to take the reins over and like you said, just do a good story, do a good fun action adventure. And people will get on board with it. I mean, look, and the thing is now you have competition, right? You've got, from Mission Impossible, the films, you've got obviously the Reacher.
Let's be honest, they've Tom Cruise has completely overtaken Bond with Mission Impossible and Ethan Hunt. He's done this completely right. Now, granted, he didn't have the history in cinema that Bond had. I mean, the first Mission Impossible film with him, which is 30 years ago now.
Yeah.
That was the start of that. So they're still in the first iteration of that. All the Mission Impossible has been around for forever too.
Right. It was originally a TV show and whatnot. Yeah.
Right. But just give us a great Bond film. You know, like that's what made the franchise so successful. And again, in killing Daniel Craig's Bond, it was such a departure from it's the Doctor Who effect of the new person's playing Bond.
Right.
And that's what I would get back to. And we have enough going on in the world politically that you could do this. Very easily right now.
Well, and that's the thing is with Daniel Craig, they kind of established that Bond was more of a title than it was a person, an individual, right? And that's why you can kind of explain why so many different people have carried that mantle over the years, right? To your point, almost like a regeneration for Doctor Who. So, I mean, that is the one thing that the Daniel Craig iteration has given us, for better or for worse. But we'll see where they go from here. We'll see who they cast. We'll see.
I do want to say this too. Like not all the Daniel Craig Bonds were bad. Like, I'm not trying to say they were bad. I actually enjoyed several of them. I really did. Like Skyfall, I thought was a really good film.
Skyfall was great until they went until it turned into Home Alone up in his familiar home.
I didn't mind that. I like Skyfall. I like the metaphor of him blowing up his home. And then it didn't, you could move past it. I like Casino Royale. I mean, some of them were good.
Casino Royale was a very
Quantum of Solace was like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, and then they tried to set up things and it didn't really.
Yeah, they missed the mark with Spectre. A lot of people were super excited for that, to have a new Blofeld and everything. Yeah. And then just these weird monologues about owls and nests and all this other stuff. And it
lost me completely. And then the last one was like, okay, you clearly want to die. So again, I'm not poo-pooing on the Craig ones. They were just a different universe.
Yeah.
And I'd like to get back to the Bond universe that you and I enjoyed growing up. I also think this is an opportunity to bring back James Bond Jr. Just saying.
Yeah, great cartoon. Great cartoon with Odd Job in his tracksuit. But anyway, and it's gonna be interesting to see how these films age as well, because I remember, it was always talked about when I was a kid is when the Timothy Dalton ones came out, and a lot of people hated Timothy Dalton in his two James Bond films, License to Kill and The Living Daylights. Now they're considered they're considered great Bond films. Not the best, but they're considered great. Because they were very much in the era of the 80s, right? It was a little more violent, a little more gritty. And people, coming after Roger Moore's Bond of the 70s, which was just camp, I think people were just shell-shocked by that. And then they kind of split the difference again with Pierce Brosnan and kind of got back on track until the one with Madonna. And then that just ended his time as Bond. I don't even remember the name of it. It was so bad. I just blanked it. Everything or Nothing. I think it was Everything or Nothing.
I don't remember.
The one with Madonna, when they didn't give him an Aston Martin, they gave him some other car or whatever. It was like a BMW, and everyone was just like, "What are you doing? What? Madonna's a fencing teacher?
Yeah,
she also sees
too much.
What? It was too much. The last Pierce Brosnan Bond films were great except for the last one. And that's usually what happens. That's why they stop. That's why these guys usually stop being Bond. They at some point it has to end. Anyway, speaking of endings, Kathleen Kennedy, it has been announced, something that we've been calling for quite some time on the show, at least particularly me. Sounds like she will no longer be in charge of Star Wars, that she'll be out of Disney, that she'll be retiring at the end of 2025. And while she does have a great legacy in film for many, 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 many years, it is probably sad that she will probably be remembered for her more recent blunders over the last decade with the Star Wars franchise. And good riddance. Enjoy retirement. Bye-bye. Lee,
yeah, I'm with you on this, man. Like, It was an up and down thing. Like, with Kathleen Kennedy, my attitude's always, you have to give her credit for the good things, and you've got to give her credit for the bad things. And they were equally up and down from Rogue One being
were great
amazing.
And the bads were bad.
Yeah, really, there was very few in the middle here. Like, some of the things and decisions that she made during the time did not make a lot of sense to Star Wars fans. I mean, I think at the same time, one of the best decisions she made, and she should get credit for, was putting Dave Filoni and
Jon
Favreau in charge of things in a lot of different ways. I mean, you got to give her credit for that, for understanding that.
Yeah.
But the blunders were big, the wins were big. But Star Wars needs to desperately get back on track, both with the films, but also with gaming and really across the art, the old LucasArts kind of wing. And they've missed the mark on that on some things. So I'm looking forward to a brighter future with that. And, like, again, you got to figure out the movies. Like, Star Wars does better in the film. We're going the right day with The Mandalorian, right way with Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, look, she, again, to give her flowers, because she does deserve them, right? She either is a producer, an executive producer on Back to the Future, on Jurassic Park, on Schindler's List, on E.T., on, all of these amazing, amazing, amazing films, right? Like Raiders of the Lost Ark as an associate producer, right? Well, that's when she met Steven Spielberg, I believe, right? Like, she's done an amazing, her filmography there are some amazing, amazing things here. And we do have to give her credit for it. Because, again, a big reason why a lot of these films were they were was because of Kathleen Kennedy there behind the scenes working with the Spielbergs and the Lucases and whatnot. But again, particularly in recent years, mostly in recent years, I think she just kind of lost touch with everything. And she kind of lost the fans. And that this is... that's life. That's life. Bring it all back around to baseball. It is what it is. And she's had some really big losses in the last decade. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny wasn't too bad.
Yeah, well, look, here's the other thing too. We have to remember too, and I don't know how much this played into this. Disney had some CEO changes two now during Eisner back to Eisner, but I don't know what she was battling internally as a leader. I just didn't feel that Star Wars was such a tough thing to quantify, Ray, because, like, again, the Mandalorian is so good.
Yeah,
and Andor was,
and that's her, and she's the one who greenlit that. Like, that's I know, thing. Like,
it's so weird, but like again, the thing I say is she greenlit Filoni and Favreau, and that was the key. And I really hope that one of those two, probably Filoni, is put into that role. Maybe not. It might not be him if the creative side needs to be there, but someone needs to be there that understands that.
Yeah,
let him have the reins. And they're planning this new trilogy with Rey, or at least a new movie with Rey, which I'm not against, believe it or not. A lot of people think I'm not against it if you do it right. I don't. Yeah. I didn't hate Rey as a character.
No, it just the problem was right. The problem was they had no plan for her.
Right.
They had no plan. They had no plan.
How do you not have a plan? I'll always say this too, that the sequel films were unfortunately a victim of the first film. Obviously, The Force Awakens came out at a great time, but then streaming came around, and the way we view television and movies came around. It really changed how you make a trilogy, right? Where you have to plan things now, and they didn't plan that trilogy at all. They planned the first movie, and then they kind of curled into a ball and messed up.
They thought they could wing it. And you can't do that.
You can't wing that. You need to know where you're going. Marvel understood Thanos from pretty early on.
Yes.
And they built towards that. That's what Star Wars needs to start doing. And I think they are trying to do that.
No, they're trying to get back on track, and I think they're going to get there. And I think it's going to take some time. It's just a shame that, like, again, really the last 10 years is a tarnish on what has otherwise been a phenomenal legacy. But that's what happens. Sometimes, you make big swings and sometimes you miss, but sometimes it's also you got to take responsibility for those misses because they were pretty bad. Like, you're in the batter's box and you decide what pitches to swing at and which ones to not. And they were some really god-awful looking swings there from Kathleen Kennedy in that batter's box the last 10 years. So, whew. Anyway, one last story. I don't know if I forgot. I don't know if I had this on the rundown. This also happened yesterday. Warner Brothers decided to pull the plug on one of their biggest gaming studios, Monolith, the folks who gave us, of course, the Shadow of Mordor games and the Nemesis system, along with many, many, many others, firing again hundreds of people and pulling and officially canceling the standalone Wonder Woman game that was in development that everyone has said was looking to be a return to form for Warner Brothers video games and was going to be was shaping up to possibly be another masterpiece. So, Warner Brothers, we get it. You're trying to sell. We get it. For the third time in a decade, you're trying to sell. David Zaslav is a cancer on the industry of movies, television, and video games. And he is gutting a once proud and great company. And the fact that this phenomenal, again, sounding, looking, again, obviously was still probably sounding like at least another year away from the being released. But the fact that, again, you're just letting people's lives go by the wayside, that you're leaving these amazing IP to wither on the vine, it is unforgivable. And it makes me sick. And whew, I can't say, I'm repeating myself. I've said this before. I've said it again and again and again and again. And it makes me sick every time we have to come on the show and talk about another thing that Warner Brothers decided to kill for no good reason.
From a business reason, it's not a good reason. He's a hatchet man, and that's his job is to sell the company. That's why he's there. They do not care. I'm going to say, if he comes out and says, "Oh, it pains me to do this," I don't believe you. I think you're going to get a golden parachute or a kickback for selling this thing for billions of dollars, and that's what you care about. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're destroying any win that they might have, Looney Tunes, potentially this game, tells you they're not interested in succeeding right now. They want to sell. And again, Ray, when you're in that position, and I am not saying this is correct in any way, when you're in that position, the mindset is Superman's going to be around for 100 years. These aren't going anywhere. We make one good Superman film, everyone comes running back. Or like most things, maybe it'll go away for 2 decades and come back, but we have this forever. That's how they view it, these things. Sports leagues do the same thing. Yeah. Sports leagues know you're not going anywhere. Major League Baseball, with all of its problems, you're not going anywhere. All right? And they know it. So when you have a macro lens on things like that, you get real greedy, you get real stupid, and you make decisions like this. It's not fair to the consumer. It's not right, but that's the way it is. And again, it's disgusting to see it happening. I hope they find their way in the future.
Yeah. Well, and it also sounds like via other reports that it is true that all resources are now being directed film-wise to James Gunn's Superman.
Yeah.
And that James Gunn's DC universe may die before it gets started. Because they said if that movie flops, that's it. They're not going to give him that's it. They're going to pull the plug.
They should.
So, yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Again, those are just the reports. Those are just the dirt sheets, as we say in the wrestling world, as they're saying. But that was sickening news to see yesterday. Monolith, one of the best. They made the No One Lives Forever series. Again, 30 years, one of the best game developers out there, and they're gone. Doesn't feel like any good reason as the game industry continues to hurt. And this one, again, not the game industry's fault. This is just Warner Brothers being
dumb.
Yeah. So anyway, on that sour note, another good show, buddy.
Yeah,
we're gonna land the plane now. Yeah, so land the plane.
At least we can do that safely.
Yes. We're one of the few people who can land the plane safely.
Yeah, there's no private jets coming in front of our jet.
Oof, gosh, another near miss. I think it was yesterday at Logan International. My goodness. Anyway, that's real world news. We don't talk about that stuff here.
No, only the fake world news.
Yes. But anyway, folks, appreciate you all listening and watching as always. Until next time, for Lee, I'm Ray. This is my PBS voice. And until next time, this has been Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody!
Geeks Who Like Sports Super Slam wants you to share and subscribe this episode and comment below.